All right. Welcome to video 3 of my Motivewave tutorials. If you're finding these useful, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Apparently, that's what I'm supposed to be saying at the beginning of these per some of the comments on Reddit. But without further ado, let's jump in and let's talk about setting up your intraday or trading time frame VWAPs, or rather, how I do it. There are a lot of different ways you can do it. But let's go ahead and let me share my screen. All right. Looks like we've got our VWAPs up. Or no, got our chart up. Cool. So, all right. Again, I'm on Motivewave 7 right now. We are looking at a fresh new chart that I created for the ES. Right now, it is Globex, Sunday night. Market opened a couple hours ago, and it looks like ES is selling off a little bit. All right, cool. So go ahead. I'll just start fresh. Go ahead and hit this plus button down here to create a new page. I'm going to do a single layout, single chart layout, and I'm going to call this intraday VWAP, just tutorial. Okay. So now you should have more or less what I have. I default to having my candles off. I'm just going to use open, high, low, close. Let's go ahead and reset the scale, right click, hit reset chart scale. Cool. So you should be seeing something similar to what I have here. And then, oh yeah, let's also, since it's Globex right now, let's right click and select extended session. All right. And then I'm going to get rid of that volume bar down here. Cool. We don't need that. All right, so this is pretty straightforward. I use VWAP intraday. I also use it on higher time frames as kind of a measure of how far price has traveled. Um, I don't really use it as an indicator in terms of like if price hits this line, I'm going to buy, or if price hits this line, I'm going to sell. That's not how I use VWAP. I use it more just to see how far extended we are for the session relative to higher time frames. I will do my next video on setting up a higher time frame VWAP. Um, but for this purposes of this video, we're going to keep it focused on just the intraday trading time frame. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Go up to your study menu up here, and I want you to go to all studies. Go ahead and filter for VWAP, hit OK. And here we have our uh, menu option for VWAP. So what I want you to do is defaults to the regular session, so that's RTH. I like to have my VWAP reset at the RTH reset or the daily reset, which happens at 5 p.m. Central Time. So I'm going to use extended session. If you only want to use RTH VWAP, I know a lot of people are a big fan of that. Go ahead and use the regular session. But for my purposes, I use the extended session. Time frame, since this is just intraday, we're going to keep that at 1 day. I like to keep my VWAP line orange here, and I make it a little bit wider. I set it to 2. And then I have it as a solid line. You don't have to do that. You can use any of these if you want. If you want an indicator to show up here on your price axis, you can, but I generally don't. Next, we're going to go over to the standard deviation bands. I like to keep all of these black. There we go. Cool. And then I use the 1.5, and the 2 standard deviation. I know a lot of people like to use 1, 2, and 3. You can do that. I did that for probably a year. Nothing wrong with that. But for what I do, I'm a natural trader. I use 1, 1.5, and 2. So we got a couple options and configurations. Let's go ahead and just add this just to see what's happening. All right, cool. This is a 1-minute chart, and we've got VWAP. This was Friday session. Cool. Looking good. Looking good. Yeah, I remember this. I remember this. I took that trade right there. All right, cool. So we got VWAP showing up. Now, yours may look a little bit differently. So my 1.5 band is a hashed line. My two standard deviation band is a solid line. My one standard deviation or developing value area, I leave that as a solid line that is filled in gray. And then we've got the orange fat bar here representing VWAP. We're in the middle of Globex, or at the start of Globex. We're maybe a couple hours in, and the sell-off is underway right now. It's looking pretty extended for Globex, but I generally won't trade ES on Sunday nights. But this might be actually getting close to a higher time frame level that I've been watching. Okay, so let's go ahead and double click on our VWAP, and I'll show you how you can configure some of this. So for the one standard deviation, I use this as an indicator for the intraday developing value area. Um, I have this highlighted gray. You can go more colors. I set the opacity to 50 just because I'll have overlapping higher time frame levels drawn on my charts here. But I still want it to be apparent. And then I have this set to a 1 thickness on the one standard deviation and a solid line. You can turn on indicators. So if you want the one standard deviation to show up on your price line, you can hit that and it'll show up right here. See these little purplish dark blue flags? For me, that's a little noisy, so I don't use them, but it is an option. Now, for band 2, I leave this color black. I have it set to 1 bar thickness, and I have a hashed line selected with display selected at the 1.5 band. You've got a top indicator here. Same deal. If you want to focus on showing that on the price line, you can select that, or you could fill it if you want. I don't, so I'm going to leave it unselected. Band 3, I have that set as a skinny 1 point thickness with a solid line. Standard deviation 2, top indicator and bottom indicator unselected. Some people like to highlight the second or the third deviation just to indicate when we're far extended. Let me just hit apply to show you what that looks like. So if we're up here, probably shouldn't be chasing longs up here at that second standard deviation. Down here, probably shouldn't be chasing shorts, unless context tells you otherwise. But I don't leave that selected. It's just too much going on for me. So this is pretty much just how I set up my intraday view up. It's pretty straightforward. The other thing you do actually, if we double click on this, sometimes you'll notice this wackiness in the bands, particularly like you're seeing it here, where a lot of volume came in. And sometimes when Motivewave loads, it'll miss some of the data. So what I do is I go navigate to the VWAP options menu up here. I select real values, and sometimes that'll clean that up. And then I'll hit underlay also so that my VWAP bands show up underneath any other drawings that I'm importing from a higher time frame. You can also change your visibility. So right now I'm on a 1 minute chart. If you want to set this to only show up on a 1 minute chart, and and you're toggling your execution chart between like a 15 or a 1 hour, you can set it so that is 15 minutes or under. If you use volume charts like I do, I usually set this to equal to, or rather greater than or equal to custom, nonlinear, or constant volume. And I'll just throw 100 there. I usually execute on the 500 volume chart. And then when we toggle this to, let's say, 1 hour, VWAP goes away. So if you're concentrated on 1 hour or 4 hour time frame, you can focus on that, draw your levels. So let's say let's go ahead and draw like a resistance area up here. I don't know. I don't really draw resistance areas like that. But Now let's toggle back to the 15-minute. Now we have VWAP showing up and our 1 hour resistance. Let's take a look at the 3-minute. Same deal, just different context. But yeah, that is how I set up VWAP for my intraday trading time frame charts. I hope this was useful. Pretty straightforward. It's third video in my Motivewave series. If you liked what I'm doing, you want to see something for me to put together, show you how I do it in Motivewave, or even if I don't do something in Motivewave, I'm happy to learn and make a video tutorial. I've been using Motivewave for about a year and a half now, and I've gotten pretty familiar with the interface, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. But yeah, hope that was useful. All right, see ya.